This week on PowerNorth.ca, Paul and I sit down with Swede Burns to discuss his new book, The Fifth Set, with special co-host Jack O'Rourke.
And welcome to episode 2 of Power North. We're dropping loads of knowledge, documenting the stories behind the journey of strength. Today our special guest is Mr. Swede Burns, and I'm going to get my good friend and co-host Shane Church to introduce our guest today.
All right, so Swede is a strength and conditioning coach. He is a powerlifting coach. He is a gym owner. He has about 16 other hats that he likes to wear. He has a fantastic ebook out right now called The Fifth Set that we'll get into more as the cast goes on. So Swede, take it away. I want you to tell the people a little bit about yourself, like your physical stats and like your totals and all that kind of stuff.
How shiny your beard is.
Hey, what's up? How's everybody doing? My beard is very shiny. It's long. I really would rather just talk about my beard than lifting weights.
We can do that.
Yeah.
There's a whole subculture for that as well.
Your buddy Jack has me beat on beard length. I think that thing is pretty outstanding.
His is ginger, so it automatically deducts 2 inches, though.
Well, in that case, I might have him. It's pretty close. I mean, so I might have him beat because mine is, jet black, like the night. People always ask me, is my beard naturally black? No, I'm not Japanese or anything, but I don't think anybody has a naturally black beard. Not that I've ever seen.
Swede is referring to our friend Jack, who's joining us today off camera. Jack the Cunt. And welcome to the show also, Jack.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Allowing me to be here.
I just want to listen in to get material for the article I'm going to write discrediting Fifth Set and catapulting myself to credibility.
A solid plan.
Complaining about the backwards T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yes, just angry.
Yeah. One of the reasons that I asked Jack onto this podcast is Jack actually has firsthand knowledge with Fifth Set. He has personally worked with Swede at one of the Elite FTS powerlifting experiences. So he was pretty excited, and it was good for us to have someone with that super tight knowledge of Swede on as well.
Super tight knowledge. He's actually coming out to visit.
Yeah.
Keyhole Barbell pretty soon too. Next week, I think.
Where is Keyhole Barbell?
We're in Western PA. I always say it's the armpit of Pennsylvania, Pennsyltucky. The sticks. It's basically there's nothing here. That's why I moved here.
What's the population of your location or city?
1,000 people, roughly 1,000 people in Apollo. Most of them were on Keyhole Barbell's powerlifting team.
Perfect.
Nah. But yeah, I mean, I moved here I'm from North Philly area. That's where I moved from anyway. And, it's like in the city of Philadelphia. Whatever, something like 5-6 million people. So to go from that to 1,000 is a dramatic change. But
did you move there specifically to start Keyhole?
Yeah. I mean, I bought this building. That's why I moved here. I just had an idea to move to the middle of nowhere and start over. And I wanted to, open a training facility. And the square footage that I needed in Philly would have been $1 million. And I just didn't have that. So, I've always been open to thinking outside the box, so I just kind of looked for a building that I could turn into a facility. I found a church in Western PA, and that's where I'm at now.
Keeping everybody closer to God.
Yes, much, much closer to God. If you saw any of the pictures from the Halloween party, then you know.
Yeah, there was. They were fantastically disturbing.
Yes, they usually are. We like to party.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into lifting weights. What was your beginning?
Okay. Well, I started lifting when I was very young, maybe 11 years old. I got a weight set for Christmas from my parents. And, I had that in the basement, and I did the normal workout. Or basically, it was like a bench that you could do squats in, but I never did squats. I just did bench press and military press.
Who does squats?
Every
Curls
single
like
day.
a motherfucker.
Yeah, curls, bench press, military. I did military press every day when I was a kid. Definitely every single day. And it was like a Hulk Hogan one, the kind with the concrete where you fill it up with like sand or concrete or something like that.
Did you have a Hulkamania shirt as well?
No, I didn't have any cool stuff like that. I just had like the bar, and it had this plastic thing that spun on it. I remember that was red. You couldn't even hold on to the bar because it had plastic on the bar. But
oh yeah, I remember those.
Humble.
It was like a collar around the bar.
Exactly, around the whole bar. Yeah, it was humble beginnings, but
I'm pretty sure I still have that at my parents' house.
So I started with that, and then I did sports in school and stuff, and outside of school, and eventually I got thrown around to a bunch of correctional schools and the high schools. And the last one that I was at had powerlifting was the only sport there really was, and it wasn't really, we had like intramural stuff, but no like actual real competitive sports, I was always very competitive. I did wrestling and stuff. So I got into doing the powerlifting, and it was something I just was really good at right away. I used to actually send emails to Fred Hatfield, Dr. Squat, online when I was a kid, and he sent me workouts to do and stuff. He was always really cool.
That's awesome.
And that was the first like systemized workouts I ever did. And I remember very clearly the first time I benched 300 pounds, and the first time I benched 400 pounds was my last week of school in high school. And that was in like an AAU rules type meet situation there that was run by them. And so that was cool. And then from there I progressed into bodybuilding. I did bodybuilding till I was 24 years old. Did really good. I was at the national level by the time I was 21. We were talking about earlier before we went on here. I had an endorsement contract, which basically was a result of my friend Greg Kovacs.
Canadian,
yeah, the big Canadian. He's a monster human being, but he was like a mentor, one of my mentors when I was young, and helped me to get as far as I did, as quickly as I did. I don't know if you've seen any of the pictures, but there's some up. I mean, I was pretty insane looking by the time I was 21, By the time I was 24, I was, in great shape, over 300 pounds, so.
How tall are you, Swede? I'm
like 6'2", So, I mean, I'm a taller guy, but still, 300 pounds is 300 pounds.
Yep.
To be in shape at 300 is I was impressed with that. I think everybody else was, as young as I was, I did pretty good. I made it to nationals, like I said, within, I guess my fourth year competing, I was at nationals. I did that for a couple of years. And
what was the time?
Yeah, I just kind of got disenchanted with bodybuilding. It wasn't what I thought it was.
Were you 300 on stage?
2003 was the last year I competed.
That was in the era of when everybody was really, really fucking big.
No, I wasn't 300 on stage.
No.
I was about 300 pounds, pretty close to, I was pretty close to that in contest shape at 2004 when I finished bodybuilding. And at that point I was just like freak status. I didn't really care about bodybuilding anymore, and I went to prison shortly after that. So I kind of returned to my powerlifting roots. And from there, it's, been back off to the races with powerlifting.
What is the connection with U.S. corrections and powerlifting? It seems to always be in the mix. Is there a reason for that specifically?
Well, I mean, I think that, unfortunately, a lot of prisons they got rid of the weights in the United States. I know Texas got rid of all weights in their prisons, which is a really, I think it's just a really bad idea. Obviously, it was a very positive thing for me in prison. It was it gave me some catharsis. It was a healing thing for me. It gave me something very positive to focus on. And I've seen that in a lot of other people in jail, where it was the only positive thing in their life, the only good they've ever done, So it's sad to see that, but, I guess it is what it is. Prison is punishment, I don't honestly believe that prison, the U.S. prison system is about
rehabilitation.
Is about rehabilitation at all. It's really punishment.
Yeah.
If it was about rehabilitation, there would be more programs than there are. And from the outside, it may seem like there's a lot of programs and opportunities. There's really nothing like that.
Yeah.
You gotta make the most of what you're working with. And most people that end up in jail are not really go-getters anyway. You know what I mean? So that's the reason for the recidivism rate being what it is.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But,
not many hustlers in there.
Yeah, that's where Fifth Set started. Actually, it was in jail. That was and it was the reason. It was just a result of not having. There was just crude increments with loading and so forth. So I had to come up with a logical, volume-based training style,
When you were in there, did you have a chance to write everything down, or did you have to memorize it?
I had everything written down, yeah. I actually wrote a novel in prison. So, I had a typewriter and stuff, You're allowed to have stuff like that. It's not like what you think, except when you're in the hole, which I did go to the hole a couple times. But you don't get anything in there except pink underwear.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess being a giant dude and doesn't go over well sometimes. Some people try to start shit with you in there.
Not like you would think. But for the most part, honestly, I was the biggest dude in prison. It's not like in the movies. I was by far the biggest dude in jail, as far as muscular wise goes. I stayed big. I was 270 pounds when I got out of jail, in pretty good shape. So that's with eating. You live on dog food for real. The food is horrible. It's a joke.
It's all about making money.
Yeah, it is. It's a business. They're for profit. Most of the county jails are. And I don't really know the situation with the state jails, but I know they have a budget and they hire private contractors to do the food situation and all that. So they're trying to make money.
Yeah.
And you don't really got to be accountable to the people you're feeding. You know what I mean? That was actually something I went to the hole for, was a food strike. So because the food was so horrible, people wouldn't eat it. But yeah, so that was actually where Fifth Set started. And it's funny, it changed a lot over the years because I had access to more stuff. So when you get out, naturally, when I had access to, all the equipment that I wanted, you would think that you would need more things. So I tried to add more things in and change things to more sophisticated methods of training. And I ended up coming back to where it started. You know what I mean? The simplest thing is really the most effective thing in this case. At this point, with the book coming out and all the people doing it, and over the years, I've had hundreds of people do it. I have a huge sample size of people using the program. It's been 10 years I've been using it, over 10 years, and it's just I figured out what works and what doesn't work, and it's just really the bare bones is what you need. I really ended up coming back to, like I said, to almost exactly what we started with. The percentages are slightly different, and I'm still modifying stuff. There's enough moving parts that
froze up.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
you're back.
Yeah. No, I said that there's enough moving parts that I don't think it'll ever stop improving on itself. You know what I mean? There's always ways to kind of tweak, but simplest is most effective.
For everybody listening, Swede, for everyone listening that is not familiar with kind of the basic concept, maybe just describe fifth set to us in its most basic principles and concepts and application.
Yeah. You said would I describe it for you now? Okay.
Yeah, in a basic, you don't want to don't go into too much detail because you want people to buy your ebook.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's no secret either. The thing is, like, I could tell you exactly what it is, and you still are going to benefit from the information in the book. There's just a tremendous amount of information in there. And honestly, like, the people that I work with one-on-one all buy the book anyway, because it's so much info, it would be impossible for me to cover that, you know. So, but basically, to give you just a brief overview, there's a couple of protocols that I use for the program. The first one is obviously the fifth set protocol is the main one. So that's like essentially everything that's done with the fifth set protocol for the most part, except for the first mesocycle going into it, which is sort of like a preparatory phase. For the most part, everything is done starting with 80% at the beginning of the mesocycle, and from there, you know, what's done with the 80% is 4 doubles and a fifth set of as many reps as possible. And it's progressive microcycle to microcycle, and that you add 5 pounds per microcycle. So that's the fifth set protocol. And so two lifts are usually relegated to fifth set protocol, and then the third lift, which will be either squat or deadlift, is relegated to the technique speed protocol, which is usually start with 70% for that, and that's performed for 5 sets of 3 reps, with also a mechanically similar movement, which will have an additional 2 sets of 3 reps or 2 sets of 5 reps, depending on what it is. There's a lot of different, you know, variations of it, but that's the bare bones of it. And then for each of those, there's obviously assistance work, which is for the most part hypertrophy work, some speed work also. And, you know, I break down the assistance work into 2 different protocols also, which would be like a strength protocol or a hypertrophy protocol. That just affects the rep scheme and the total amount of work done. I've written some articles that pretty much outline exactly my opinions on that. So without even buying the book, you can read my assistance work article that's on elitefts.com, and that gives you the whole.
Perfect.
I mean, I kind of give that information away.
No, actually, we were before we started rolling today. We were explaining to Swede about one of our first signature segment. And you had referred back to your article, so I think that's a good segue for maybe lead us right into our first signature segment called "What the Hell Was I Thinking?" where we're going to ask you just to share with us a great story where you would like to punch your former self in the throat.
Oh yes, the throat punch story.
The throat punch story.
Well, anybody who follows my stuff on Elite or reads my column. I just did a 4-part series called How the Mighty Fall, which was basically the long form version of what happened in regard to the incident that caused me to have emergency surgery on my spine about 1.5 years ago. Basically, I dropped over 500 pounds of myself in the meet doing bench press, like right at lockout. Yeah, I did the whole lift and then just actually dropped it at lockout, and it bounced on me, and you know, it did some damage to my spine. I finished the meet, and I competed in another meet after that in Rum that year, but it was just progressively worse and worse. And what ended up happening one day was I was handing out for a girl that I work with, very lightweight on bench press, like 150 pounds or something like that, and that was it. That handout was the last thing, and the disc moved a lot more, and I just basically kind of like fell to the ground and crawled out of the room, and I tried to lay down for a while, and I called my friend as a chiropractor, and I was going to go in and see him, and when I tried to stand up, I ended up like the pain from my body the axial load of my upper body on my spine made me pass out, and I fell down and like threw up on myself in the bed and just woke up screaming, and they had to come and get me in an ambulance and stuff. And I had to have an emergency surgery done because it was so bad at that point. But this all started because I did a meet that I was all set, like based on my formula that I used to draw temps, which is pretty much dead on. Anybody that, like Jack has used it, that has used, a lot of people have used it, especially since the book came out. It's pretty dead on accurate. I should have totaled over 2,000 without wraps, you know what I mean, that day. So, and I had worked really hard for it. I had just come back from a hamstring injury, and I basically had dedicated a full year of training into this meet. And as I was getting ready for the meet, I started to get sick. I started to get a cough as I was doing my peaking cycle. And sorry about that.
Yeah, that's not me.
I thought it was Shane for sure.
No, that's me. Somebody's cooking. So, so I started to do my peaking cycle, and I started to notice I was getting a cough. And long story short, it turned into a really bad respiratory infection to the point where I didn't get antibiotics because antibiotics usually sap my strength. So I thought maybe if I could just, because I was starting to dial back to deload for the meet, so I thought maybe it would take care of itself. And it was just a fucking bonehead move. Like, I knew I needed to get the antibiotics. I should have got them. Waited till the last minute. I ended up having like rigors in the middle of the night, which is like a convulsing shaking from fever. I had a really, really bad infection. Yeah, I had to like get put in the showers in the middle of the night and stuff. So I was really like on my deathbed going into this meet, and I just refused to pull out.
Going down with the ship.
Yeah, I was going to go, and I was going to fucking do it and make it happen no matter what. I don't have that, that give up in me. I'm not good at that, I look at that as a loss. And I've learned to, over the years, especially as a coach, recognize, that making this intelligent decision is a win, even if you don't get to do what you intended to do originally. But at that point in time, I was just all, as I always say, like I was all bull,
Yeah.
I have like a bull inside me that wants to fucking destroy everything. And, and that's how I've always lifted, very emotionally, and with that sort of rage like a bull. And that was what it was, I was ready to go, and I didn't care that I was, half dead or whatever. I can remember even when I got under the bar to squat, the attempt that I did like a 645 no wrap squat or something, which is a fucking warm up for me. I got under that bar, and when I unracked it and the weight on my back and my lungs were full of air, it felt like I had glass in my lungs. Like I could feel my lungs were like bleeding, you know what I mean? Just from the pressure of having it on my back,
Jesus.
And blood was coming out of my throat and my nose when I got up, But I mean, I finished it, and I just determined to finish the meet. And I took a 500-pound bench attempt, and it was really easy. It flew up, so I put 525 on the bar. And that was pretty easy, too. But towards the end, something happened. It just wasn't there. And I felt like I wasn't in control of the situation. I didn't have wrist wraps on, which is the main thing. The biggest fucking thing out of this whole thing is just not wearing wrist wraps, just being such a hard ass and refusing to wear wrist wraps for so many years. And I honestly believe that never would have happened if I wore wrist wraps that day. So that's probably the biggest bonehead move, is just the not wearing wraps for all that time. So I ended up dropping it on myself, and everything else that was a result started from that really poor decision of forcing myself to do a meet I shouldn't have done, the condition I was in. And then again, not wearing the wrist wraps. So that's it for me. That's my punch myself in the fucking throat decision right there.
Does Elite FTS have a Swede Burns signature wrist wrap called the Bonehead?
You would think they would at this point, but no. I mean, the ones that I use are the ultra heavy duty black ones, which I keep tearing them because I have these giant fucking gorilla hands. So
yeah, those things are made out of cement, I'm pretty sure.
I tear them, dude. I've torn 2 pairs of them already. I don't know how it's possible. They are made out of cement. I agree. It's like I have to break them in by pulling on them so hard by wrapping them super tight, and I just wrap them so tight I end up tearing the Velcro off.
That's insane. Yeah, I had a pair of knee wraps with those, and I had to stop using them because I needed 2 people to wrap my knees because someone couldn't wrap both knees.
I had that same pair of knee wraps. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
I love those. I don't usually train with wraps. I'm doing a meet soon.
What meet you doing?
In a few weeks, I'm doing this autumn apocalypse meet. The only reason I'm doing it, my team is doing it, and I kind of played with the idea of doing it, but I've been doing so much traveling with seminars, like me and Brandon Lilly and
Greg Panora.
And Greg Panora. We have this tour called Reclaiming Real Strength where we've been going all over the United States, just kind of teaching people about powerlifting, and we do a full 3-lift clinic and talk about our experience in lifting. The 3 of us, we've been doing this for almost 60 years between us,
Yeah.
We've all been lifting for a long time and competing for a long time. And, it's just, honestly, it's a beautiful thing. Every one of the seminars is a beautiful thing. Like, I love doing it. People that come out and get to make it out and go to them. I mean, I've never had somebody not say how amazing it was. I have people everybody posts online and tags us and stuff afterwards about how much it's helping, how much the technique stuff is helping. Like, programming is very important. Okay. I agree. Obviously I have a program that I sell, but the most important thing, in my opinion, is technique. Technique is fucking paramount. There's nothing that's even close to it. You can have the best program in the world. If your technique's shit, you're going to suck.
I couldn't agree more with that statement. I'm 100% behind that as well. And I coach a powerlifting team as well. And oftentimes I tell them, it's like, I'm not being a cocksucker because I enjoy being a cocksucker. I'm enjoying being a cocksucker because I want you to learn to do it right.
Yeah.
And he also likes to suck cock.
Right. Well, I mean, that's totally separate, but.
Fuck you, Shane.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I agree 100%. I mean, that's the benefit of it is it's a very unique situation where, like, there was nothing like that when I was coming up. We didn't have the opportunity like that to get with like 3 of the best people at once and work with them, or like the powerlifting experience. That's just fucking unreal to have that much talent in one room.
That was an incredible thing.
Yeah, man.
Like, that was
even for me
good.
to be able to work with and coach with Steve Goggins, like, that was a very unique experience, an amazing experience. And that's a little different than we do it, where they have, like, it's a meet setting and you're just meeting the people that you're coaching that day. But, I mean, I was able to foster some really cool relationships out of that. Certainly I met Jack that way. I made friends with Steve Goggins, coaching with him now, and we're going to do seminars together. We're talking about that. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
Very, very awesome, very unique experience. But yes, I've been traveling so much with that stuff that I haven't really been able to train for this meet. But I decided, screw it, I would do bench only, and I just actually put my entry in yesterday. So because I have a bunch of lifters on my team that are doing it, so I'm going to be there. I figure, fuck it, I'll do this meet and see how I can do with bench.
That's
raw.
it. That's fair.
Doing single ply next after this.
Oh yeah, badass. That's a RPS meet you're doing?
Yeah.
Gene runs some fantastic meets, so it's I can almost guarantee that's going to be a fantastic meet to do.
Oh, we do them every year. I mean, we do all the RPS meets. Kilo Barbell does.
Is that the same meet?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I was just going to say, Shane, is that the same meet that our friend Ken is going down to do as well?
I'm not sure. I think Ken's doing it a little later.
Ken who? Ken Lutton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think he's doing this meet.
No, I think he's doing one in December.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing a seminar in Niagara Falls in December.
What day?
December 5th.
That's the day of the meet that he's doing.
Oh, okay.
If anybody wants to sign up, if any of our baking, eating, maple syrup guzzling motherfuckers up here in Canada wanted to sign up for that meet, where can they find out more about, that seminar? Where can they find out about your seminar in Niagara Falls?
Adam Furchin is running it. He's organizing it rather. It's at his gym, which I'm at a loss for the name of the gym right now, but it's in Niagara Falls, New York, not Canada.
They're pretty close.
It's on the American side, yeah, but I'm not allowed in Canada, so that's the best you're going to get to work with me.
We have connections.
I come to your borders, but they won't let me in. So.
We don't have the underground tunnels like you guys have with Mexico.
Yeah, if you did.
At least not that we're aware of.
You could sneak Swede in because I have, so many people in Ottawa that I'm cool with that I work with. But,
shout out to Ottawa.
Yeah, shout out to Ottawa. But Alyssa Smith, what's up? A bunch of people in Ottawa that I'm cool with, but unfortunately I'm not allowed to come in. But I come as close as I can. So I come to Niagara, hopefully. That's what blows my mind is we get guys that hit us up and they're like, hey, can you come to like I'll be in New Jersey or something, hey, can you come to Jersey, come to North Jersey? Like, oh, we're going to be in New York here, it's about an hour away from you. You can fucking drive, you think?
Yeah. An hour. Can't do it.
Like, I'm coming 8 hours to do a seminar there, and you can't come an hour to attend? You want me to do one, like, right at your house or what?
Yeah.
That's what's so funny. Like, we used to, like, God, like, when I was coming up, this is no bullshit. I would drive to Long Island, New York, and back every training day to train with people. You know what I mean? I would drive 3 hours, at a clip each direction to train with people that I wanted to learn from who were better than me. I think that almost the internet has people spoiled nowadays.
I was going to say the same thing. The internet definitely spoiled me. I wrote an article for Elite FTS a long, long time ago I called it The Journey of Strength, and I used to travel 2 hours every week to go and train with guys that knew more than I did. Right,
absolutely. And there's something to that. There's something more than it seems to traveling, because putting that effort in. When I bring people in here that want to get on the team, on Kehoe Barbell's team, we're pretty popular. We're the only thing in this area like this. So anybody that's interested in powerlifting has no choice but to travel here to train. So I make it, I don't make it easy for people to get on the team. I've had a lot of people that thought they wanted to be on the team, and then they didn't realize how much was required to actually do that, and they end up quitting like halfway through the process. But, I make people come here. I make them come and train one-on-one with me for like a long time, and before until I'm comfortable with the level that they're at, that I think that they understand the way we do things and the way how to run the program. Like, I can't, baby people, like that's what I tell them. Like, I'm throwing you in with the sharks when you finally do get on the team. They're not gonna be easy on you. You better be prepared for that. It's gonna be a horrible situation,
Paul and I also have teams, and like it's the same thing. Like, you have to be, when you have a competitive team, people don't understand that I have a competitive team. I have people that want to succeed. So if you want to be on the team, you got to not only be ready to work your ass off, you got to understand that everyone here also wants to work their ass off, and they want to beat you no matter what.
Right. That's the whole thing, is that, like, it sucks when we lose a guy who's an asshole. I mean, we actually have recently lost a couple guys that were like dickheads. Like, they were dickheads, but, they were very crucial pieces of the team because they motivate everybody to want to crush them. Like, you need that asshole personalities around, because, you don't realize that that's what makes people grind. They just want to beat them. Especially if you can get a guy who's an asshole that's actually half-assed pretty good. That's really good for everybody else, because it makes them want
to. That's been my role on every team.
You know what I mean? People want to destroy that guy. They want to fucking humiliate them. And plus, we get like side bets going where we'll like bet where you have to get a tattoo if you lose to the other guy. Of his choice,
Oh,
you can
wow.
imagine how that goes. I'm not going to put any more into that because that's a horrible discussion to have, but just trust me, it's gotten ugly,
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. It's cool. But it's honestly, we're a family. What it comes down to at the end of the day, like, we do all of our shit together. We do all the holidays together, Like, we might hate each other's guts sometimes, but if anybody else fucked with one of us, forget it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, he's an asshole, but that's my asshole.
You gotta protect your asshole.
Yeah, I can say that, but you can't say that. You know what I mean? But it's cool. Pretty cool deal. So so I'm gonna do that meet, and then the plan is I'm thinking I'm gonna try a single ply out, see how I do with that. Nice. I have some single ply gear that I play with. I have some multi-ply gear that I play with, but I've just never really been interested in it. And I feel like it would be something for me to focus on for the meantime, until I can do full power raw again, which I'm working on, every day. That's basically been the goal that I've been working towards for the last year and a half, is getting back into being competitive in full power, getting back to that level that I feel like I'd be comfortable to compete and actually be competitive in full power. So, we'll see.
Do you have your numbers set right now for your upcoming meet? Or are you still?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that I'm going to do 275, so anything over 500-pound bench will be a PR. So I expect to be, I just hit 510 in training, so I should, depending on, like I said, my training's all over the place, so it's hard to say how it's going to go. I would be 100% confident that I'll hit 530, but we'll see. Based on the numbers, I should hit 530, but I'd be happy with anything. Honestly, over 500 is a PR, and that's a post-surgery PR, and that's a lifetime PR at that body weight, because I typically compete at, 308 or heavier. Actually, that day that I dropped the bar, that 500-pound bench was a PR at 275, because that was my first time competing at 275.
Did you cut for that too?
Yeah. I didn't really have to cut as much as I should have, you know what I mean? Because I lost so much weight from being sick. Because
you were dying, yeah.
Yeah, that's what fucked me, because I should have been 290 pounds on a platform, and I wasn't.
That's the hard thing. I've cut a lot of weight, and putting weight back on from sick.
Oh, when you're sick, forget it, yeah. See, I've done huge cuts. I've done 24-pound cuts, you know what I mean? And put the weight back on, no problem. Cutting is like my expertise. For like water cuts. We all do water cuts here. Yeah. Fucking Tara has done, 18-pound water cuts. We have girls here. Elisa did over 20 pounds for rum. and she's tiny, okay? Yeah. So she was 148. She competed at 148 and lifted at 170 pounds. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
Yeah. That's our thing here, if anything, is that we're all just very gangster with the water cuts. That's I've always put it in people's heads that that's part of the meet. You know what I mean? That's part of the strategy for lifting, for powerlifting. So if you want to really be competitive, you have to master the weight cut.
Shannon did a weight cut for her last meet, a whopping 6 pounds, and she was panicking, and she ended up cutting like 12.
Crying and. Dude, it's okay. I stand there in the showers with the girls while they're crying. I'll listen, they're like just laying on their stomach, sobbing and shit, in the shower. It's okay.
I thought you said Netflix and chill.
Exactly. I just sit there on the toilet and talk to them. You'll be all right. Don't be a pussy.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
My best weight cut is 26 pounds for the Arnold in 2013.
That's impressive, man. I can tell you 24, I thought I was going to fucking die. So that's truly impressive.
I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was 7 o'clock weigh-ins, and I was at like 250. Wait, it was 242. So I was at about 246 on my scale, and I'm just like, oh shit. So I was down on the hotel, walking on the treadmill, spitting in a cup in like 17 layers, and that's where I met Adam Driggers, because he was in the same boat. So there's us 3 o'clock in the morning walking on the treadmill, and just like, hey man, how's it going? And ended up talking to him for about an hour. Then it turns out my scale was about 3 pounds heavy compared to the meat scale, and I weighed in at 240.
That's funny.
Yeah, I could see the bones in my ankle. It was awesome.
Yeah, my scale is usually always like a pound. I always like it to be about a pound off, so that way I know if I make it on my scale, then it's easy to take it to. And that's the scale. We bring that with us for the meets, for everybody to get weighed on, ahead of time. The last, not this last meet that Tara just did where she totaled 1,200. The meet before that, where she totaled 1,200 and ended up getting lighted on a squat that was, that was on the line. When she was cutting her weight, like she played it to the bone at the end, and I told her, you know, because we do everything like with, you know, cutting carbs ahead of time, and she was like trying to not cut carbs till the last minute, and I was like, you better fucking listen, and she didn't, so she ended up being up. She was up in the morning, still in the showers, overnight, straight through the night before weigh-in. She just never slept. She ended up having to stay up straight through.
Jesus.
Yeah, and then you have to get all that weight back on, so you can't sleep. So she's just taking naps. I was waking her up and making her eat.
That sounds amazing.
Are you guys allowed to use? Are you allowed to use IV bags at all for rehydrate? Or is that something you guys ever do?
Are we allowed to use bags? Yeah, you're allowed to use bags. I use bags for like the bigger cuts, but honestly, I prefer that most people don't. I've seen some bad shit with bags, especially using them too early, like edema around the heart and stuff like that. Or I know people have been hospitalized trying to rehydrate with bags, so you gotta be careful. If you can do it with the stomach, then do it with the stomach, in my opinion. You know, it's, you know, I mean, obviously the bags help. You know, but the bottom line is staying hydrated. It's not really that hard to get rehydrated unless you're sick or something else is wrong or something's going on. The problem is to stay hydrated, because once you've been dehydrated to that point, your electrolytes are usually so fucked up that even 24 hours later, after you're totally hydrated and you're back up past the weight you started at, it's really easy to get dehydrated again, and that's what ends up happening. I've run into that a couple times where people are, you know, maybe they'll cut 15 or 18 pounds and then they'll be back up 20 pounds, 21 pounds the night before the meet, and then still end up cramping up and getting dehydrated at the meet because they don't consistently sip and stay hydrated. You know, they think they're out of touch. You know what I mean? And, yeah, so.
Do you go over that in the ebook?
I haven't touched on anything with weight cuts in the ebook just because I don't want to get fucking sued.
It's fair enough. Yeah. That makes complete sense.
Yeah, because then someone's going to be like, I did that and almost died, and I'm suing you for, you know, whatever. That's great. That would just be exactly what I need.
For the $80 million you've made from the ebook.
Exactly. I'll have to fucking give them back the keys to the Rari. I'm not trying to, you know what I mean? So the last thing I need is to have to get a Lambo back, you know? Shit.
All right, so the last, well, one of the last things we do is usually that we allot time for our guests to rant massively in the section called "What the fuck is your problem?" You have the rare ability that you get to rant constantly. That's you have your own column on EliteFTS.com where you get to rant about whatever you want.
Yeah. I try to keep my rants on Elite instead of doing them on Facebook posts because. For that reason, you know what I mean? It should be an article, you know what I mean? I think if you can at least take the time and intelligently articulate whatever point you're trying to make in an article, more people will benefit from it than making an angry Facebook post. This is something that Dave and I have talked about too, you know. He said, you know, if something pisses you off that much, write an article about it. You know, don't just, you know, slam and argue people on Facebook, and that's a really good point, I think. If I had something that I would want to rant, I don't want to necessarily rant about it, but the thing that probably has been a pet peeve of mine lately that I've noticed is the list thing, you know, where fucking 5 reasons for this or that, or the 5 best ways to, you know, 5 shit you're doing wrong with your squat. Like, come on, it's just it's lazy, I think, is what it is. That's why, I mean, I made that last article, the 5 steps to being
internet god.
Yeah. It's exactly 5 steps to being a recognized expert overnight.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of like basically, obviously it's satire, but I'm also taking a stab at. Yeah, right. But I'm also taking a stab at the lists themselves. I mean, the fucking clickbait lists. It's just annoying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like no one knows how to write an actual article anymore. Yeah. It's just like, here you go, here, list 5 things and write a little paragraph underneath each one. You know, it's these little 800-word clickbait articles.
Yeah. Or copy and paste other people's info into those.
Exactly. Or talk about yourself and your own accomplishments. Like, that's the one thing that I fucking hate too. I mean, see, now we're just gonna go on a whole list of things.
Well, we've opened up the gates.
Yeah. Don't open the floodgates too wide. It's hard to get them closed again. Well, I mean, here's my thing, okay? Are you a coach or are you an athlete? And you can be both, sure, absolutely. But, I mean, if you're going to be selling yourself as a coach, don't fucking consistently talk about yourself as an athlete. You know what I mean? Because it's really irrelevant is what it comes down to. Like, I've done some pretty impressive shit, you know. You really won't ever hear me talk about it because it's irrelevant. You know what I mean? My ability is, like I said earlier, when I was fucking 16 years old, I benched 300 pounds. You know, I benched 400 pounds when I was 18 years old. So obviously it's not any magical system I'm using that's making me fucking strong. You know what I mean? It's not my coaching mastery that made me strong. It's the fact that I'm genetically, you know, predisposed to be, you know, a juggernaut. You know what I mean? That's what and guess what? The same thing is true for every coach that's out there bragging about their own fucking abilities. You know, what's impressive for a coach is what have you done with other people, to me. You know, who have you worked with that improved dramatically? And I don't mean worked with for a week, or you worked with someone for a training cycle and I had a 2,000-pound total when they already had a 1,950-pound total. I mean, you know, what have you done? How, you know, from you take somebody who was not good and made them good. Have you done that? How many times have you done that? You know, when it comes to being a coach, like in regards to competitive powerlifting, competing at meets and stuff, how many meets have you coached at? You know what I mean? How many meets have you attended? There are people that are writing books about powerlifting that have done one fucking powerlifting meet.
Yeah. I noticed that the one of the trends now is that guys will do 1, 2, 3 meets, and all of a sudden they have a YouTube channel. And it's like so power something systems, and they've done one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm waiting for it. That's why I always say I'm waiting for it. When someone puts up a good total, I'm waiting for the fucking dickhead strength system, you know, come out. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you've been lifted for 2 years. Like, yeah, you're strong. Congratulations. Be an athlete. Whatever happened to being a fucking athlete? You know what I mean? Like,
everybody wants your Lambo, man.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know what? I think these people really do believe that you get rich off ebooks. Let me dispel that fucking myth. Okay? Here's how this works, okay? You make an ebook. You sell fucking 500, 700, however many ebooks. And then the 700 people that have them, because there's only 1,500 people in fucking powerlifting, okay? They all send it to their friend. End of story.
That's it.
Done. That's it. Do you know how many people I've had come up to me at meets and go like, oh, I really love your book. I love your system. It works awesome. I'm doing good with it. We're all doing it. My friend sent it to me, so me and my team are doing it. I was like, oh, so you stole it.
Fuck.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That's basically what you're telling me is you stole my fucking book, and now you want to come up and talk to me about it?
Yeah, that's like going up to a musician and be like, hey, man, I recorded your song off the radio, and I play it over and over again. It's awesome.
Right. Well, I downloaded your fucking album illegally off of fucking Pirate Bay. You know what I mean? It's awesome, dude. Thanks.
I remember, I think, Paul, we were talking about this last week. We saw Jim Wendler was talking at a seminar, and he was saying in the conservative estimates, he's lost, what was it, 16 million or 6 million?
Something in the millions.
Yeah, it was like 6 million from illegal downloads, and he goes, I have not made 6 million from this book anywhere close to that. But it's just, it gets pirated so much. So
right. And that's, I mean, you know that going into it, but it's just if people think that we're getting rich off of this, get a fucking grip, dude.
One of the
amount of work that goes into it, like you were joking saying about how did you write an ebook in your sleep over the weekend. Like, yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of fucking time writing that book. Forget that. How long did it take me to actually come up with the fucking system and to test it and to modify it and work out the fucking bugs and fix it? I mean,
it's a goddamn lifetime.
It's fucking 10 years of work.
Yeah.
For what? You gotta be kidding me. Nobody is getting rich off of this shit, man. It just doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, it would be great if you could. And I think that people that do come up with good systems that a lot of people benefit from, those people certainly deserve to profit from it. But unfortunately, the way you're going to profit from it is by hustling and busting your ass and running around doing seminars and working with 1 million clients. It's not from the book, man. Unfortunately, you don't like you said, like Wendler said, people are going to steal it. You know what I mean? You're going to lose a shitload of money if you look at it that way. Unfortunately, there's no way to prevent it from happening. You know, and powerlifters share shit. You know, it's funny, yeah, we share shit. That's just the way it works. That's our culture. You know what I mean?
At the same time, it's a very important message to all the kids coming in, because it's those young motherfuckers. They don't put enough value into what it's worth. You know what I mean? Sure, it's $20 or $30 ebook, and as far as I'm concerned, $20 or $30 it's piss in the pot. If it's something of good value that's going to help me put more weight on that fucking bar and win more meets.
Absolutely, dude. Honestly, for fucking, and my book is $40, and honestly, I think that's like about half what it should be. But realistically, people won't pay that. Yeah. You know, that's what it comes down to, is that people are so fucking cheap. You know, but never, you know, don't worry, they'll spend fucking $150 a month on supplements from GNC or wherever the fuck, you know what I mean? But because that stuff's like magic, you know, it's like they think they're taking drugs or something, but never spend any money to actually learn something that is going to benefit you in the long run. The idea is to pick up a skill set, you know what I mean? Once you understand how to use a program, you know, that's a skill set that you can keep through the rest of your life, that you can, hopefully, if it's a good enough program, it can continue to work for you forever, or you can modify it to meet your needs and continue to use it for, like, you know, however long, forever, for a fucking decade. Like, for example, like Tara has never done anything but that program. Mm-hmm. So if she bought that book for $40 now, she built a 1,200 pound total with $40. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not something that's going to happen, you know, for everybody. It obviously depends on what your abilities are, but yeah, certainly information is, I mean, it's so valuable. You know, you can't put a price tag on it, you know? I mean, to come to a seminar, how much do you pay to go to a seminar? Some of these seminars are $300 fucking dollars for a seminar.
You can't see the camera, Swede, because you don't have the camera going, but Jack is actually sitting beside me with his hand up because he wants to speak.
With the value of the FitSet book there, even if you're not even going to run the program when you get it, it's worth the cost you're charging for it just for the section on attempt selection and preparing for the meet. Like that alone, I think everybody who's starting out as a competitive powerlifter should take a look at, because like you were saying earlier, the system for attempt selection was bang on.
Right, it is. I mean, honestly, 100% of the time it's good. Like, I would say probably over 90% of the time we're 8 for 9, you know, at least, or better, for as far as my guys go at the meet. Now, you can take those numbers and run with them and be a dickhead about it. You know, like if you see that you have a grinder on your second and still go for 104% on your third, that's just being fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm there to make sure that doesn't happen with my guys, so it never happens. But I mean, yeah, that is just a really good, like, and those numbers, I've played with those numbers, like I said, for a decade worth of doing this shit. You know, hundreds and hundreds of people, and you know, that was what I came up with, and it works very, very well. You know. I'm not. It's not a secret, you know what I mean. I'm not like, you got to buy this secret information. Like I'll give it to anybody that wants it. But just the way that it's laid out, I think you're right. It has a value that, you know, kind of transcends just a program. You know, I tried to make it complete. You know, you could basically walk into a gym for the first time ever after having read that, and you know, hopefully compete in a powerlifting meet in a matter of 6 months and do pretty well.
Yeah,
you know, it's got everything. It's soup to nuts. It's everything you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would be mentally prepared and know what you were doing through a meet after reading that ebook.
That's the idea. That's why, I mean, I kind of try to make it, you know, I try to make it like anybody that read that is one of my lifters now. You know what I mean? Like I try to talk to the reader like I would as a coach to all my lifters. You know what I mean? And that kind of, it's obviously broad strokes. You know, individual variance is a huge factor. You know what I mean? People have individual needs, you know, but you know, for the general public, that was the best I was able to do. And there's some other stuff, you know, I want to do a follow-up because there's so much information I wanted to put in there that I just feel like it would have, people's heads would have been spinning, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you could probably spin off that one section of the powerlifting prep part, and that could be its own $20 ebook. Like
It really
just
could.
that small section of it.
What I would like to do is increase that section a little bit, give more templates for like shorter, like maybe like 2-day templates, because I have a lot of people that do 2 days, especially older people. Like I have a client I work with, Alan Stein's 62, and competes regularly in powerlifting. And does well.
I seen her get a world all-time world record in masters, and then in deadlift, and then she was at the top celebrating, and she just dropped the bar and put her hands up in the air. It's like, oh no!
Dude, I love her so much, dude. She's such a piece of work. I just, she's amazing. She's just an anomaly. She's such an awesome human being. But yeah, so I mean, some stuff like that. I could put different templates and other things, and there's also some different percentage stuff that I've been playing with for this past maybe year and a half since I wrote the book. That's worked out really well. Like what I did for this meet, to get ready for this meet. Definitely, I'm happy with the way that worked out, and it was a lot easier for me to do it than the work that I was doing. I'm just kind of trying to minimalize percentages. Like, what do you need to do to get the most results, rather than what is it possible to do?
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean I think there's room there to improve on even what it's. Like I said, there's enough moving parts that I think I could never stop improving on it. You know what I mean? So.
All right, dude. So we're gonna call at the end right there. Do you have anybody or anything you want to thank or shout out before we call it day?
Obviously, I want to thank Dave and Tracy, all Elite FTS. My whole team.
Woo.
Love you guys, man. It's a good deal. I love being part of Elite FTS, and I love having that forum that we were talking about to kind of talk to people and interact with the powerlifting community at large.
Fantastic.
And, that's basically it. Obviously my team, Keyhole Barbell. But
Right on. So just want to let everyone know you can pick up Swede's ebook, the 5th set, at EliteFTS.com. Check out all of his columns. He's a columnist. He writes fantastic stuff. I just read the other day the 0 to 1200, the story of Tara and her journey from softball player to crushing 1,200 pounds.
Don't you fucking dare download it illegally.
Yeah, exactly. Pay the money. Pay the man the money.
Yeah.
Yes, give me the money. Also, Reclaiming Real Strength. Come out to one of our seminars. If there's anything in your area, man, you get a lot out of it, I promise.
All right, quickly, do you know what your next 3 seminars are?
Well, yeah, I'm going to be at Tyler English on the 21st and 22nd, I believe, or whatever that is, that Friday and Saturday. Tyler English Fitness in Connecticut, in I believe it's Danbury, Connecticut. So you can get information about that. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's MF Swede on Instagram or Facebook. Swede Burns on Facebook, and I'm always updating the new dates and stuff. Also, we're going to be at Adam Furchin's, I believe it's Elite Iron in upstate New York, in Niagara Falls, on December 5th. We're going to be doing a really huge Reclaiming Real Strength seminar there. I believe we're going to allow 60 people at that event, so that's huge.
That's a huge seminar.
Yeah, so and it's a nice facility, so that should be a good time. Same thing. I mean, the Tyler English ones are usually 40 plus, so that should be another really good one. And that's an awesome facility too, just gigantic. The way it's set up is just awesome. There's so much room, and it really works out good for us to be able to run around and work with everybody. And we work with every single person hands on at these events, even when there's this many people. I work with every single person before I leave, so. We do a little talking in the beginning. We talk about our opinions of how you should set up your programming and so forth. And, we don't always agree on everything. We all have individual opinions, but we're able to respect each other's opinions enough that, we can offer you 3 different points of view of how to train for powerlifting. And, you get to work with all 3 of us. And, we're 3 of the best coaches out there, man. A lot of experience. You get a lot out of it. So hopefully anybody who's able to attend those will do that.
All right. Swede, thank you so much for coming on the Power North podcast. This is pretty much as close as you'll get to coming to Canada.
Yeah. I might be able to I'm going to try to get a part in, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get you. We'll get you in Ottawa. We'll have so much stuff for you here. We'll have all the bacon and maple syrup that you can deal with.
Shit, that sounds great. So, how long until this thing goes up?
All right, we're gonna call it there. We'll talk about that in a second. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. All right, bro. Take care.
From Paul V., Shane Church, and Jack O'Rourke, thanks for listening to PowerNorth.ca.